In this video, we are going to create a really easy respawn mechanic that's going to allow our kind of game cycle to stay intact without our player ending up falling down and then being stuck off screen. So it's not actually going to be very difficult, although the method we're going to go about is just like a really quick one to get it working. We can for sure improve in the future. So I'm going to type in here respawn variables, because these are going to be some x and y coordinates that we are going to use in order to grab the current x and y coordinates of our player. And we're going to do it in a really easy way by using the onGround variable, which we have used to check if we are able to jump because we're on the ground, and for various other things as well. So that's our simple respawn variable set here. We are going to move down a little bit, and I'm going to add in my title bit here, respawn mechanic, 1, 2, 3, 4. And first of all, we're going to do an if statement, and we're going to check that onGround is true. So we're going to run a little bit of code here that's just going to continually keep on checking, are we on the ground? If so, grab our x coordinates and store them into these respawn coordinates, because we might need them if our player falls down into some kind of hole and can't get back out again. We're going to need to respawn, so the last time that we touch the ground, that's where we're going to go back to. So next up, let's check to see if we have fallen. So if our y coordinate is bigger than our room height, so our room height currently is 720. So if our y position is above 720, we know that we've kind of like fallen out the screen at this point. So we want to run the code that's in here. So we're going to set our x coordinates to the ones that we had stashed away in this respawn variable. We're going to do the same thing for our y coordinates as well, and then we're just going to change our y speed to 0 to ensure that we aren't falling anymore. So I'm not going to add any comments right now, because the next video in part 3 is going to look at how we can really quickly do some awesome comments using AI. So right now I'm just going to test this to see if it works. So I'm going to run over here, and I'm going to jump into the center of this hole. And it doesn't work. What happened there? Where did I go? Okay, so I paused it there, I had a little panic, went back and looked at my code, and there was no errors, but we still need to check each line and figure out what doesn't look right. So we had set our respawn y, and we had put x there instead of y. So let's check these x and y's, everything looks okay now. Second time lucky. Let's go and jump in this hole again. Okay, so you can see, it's obviously not a nice transition, it's quite jarring, but right now it takes us back to where we are, and it's taking us back to the last place we were on the ground. So let's try and just walk in from here. Okay, so that's a problem. So what's happening here is our collision mask, because we're changing from one type of sprite to another, it's kind of getting stuck and glitching a little bit. So that's nothing to do with this code here, that's all fine. What it is to do with is the fact that if we go to our player object, our collision mask is going to be the same as whatever sprite we have. So that could be the falling sprite, the idle sprite, or the walking sprite, and their masks might all be a little bit different, which causes that crazy effect that we saw. An easy way of fixing this is to tell our object, just ignore what type of sprite we're using. Our collision mask is always going to be the idle collision mask, so we're not going to have any variance between them. I can explain this better in the future, but let's just see if it works now. Yeah, so we're not having that crazy effect. One thing that isn't kind of cool about is our player seems to kind of like be standing on nothing here. So everything else is working. But yeah, let's try and fix it so that when we are obviously not on the platform, we are going to fall down. That's another thing to do with collision masks. So let's go and look at our idle collision mask. Remember before we came in here and we actually had to drag it up a little bit because we had this gap that was meaning our player wasn't touching the ground properly. You can see that this is the rectangle that it's going to use to kind of figure out where our player is. It's not going to actually look at the individual pixels. So maybe we want to drag this a little bit in. And maybe that would be better. So let's see, let's run it now. Okay. I'm going to try and edge out again. Oh, I'm falling down. So that looks a lot better than what we had before. It means that when we respawn here in this situation, we are right on the edge and about to fall in again. So maybe in the future we can look at that. But for now, I'm kind of happy that we've at least got a situation where if we do fall down, we're going to appear back somewhere. So, job done for now.